Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Italian limited liability company in Italy. So when you incorporate a company in Italy because you want to run a business, a big business, which means that your revenue is higher than 100,000 euro and you're not qualified for any of the favorable tax regime in Italy that we talk in this channel a lot, such as the unwanted regime, forfait regime, and high net worth individual flat tax. So let's imagine you don't qualify for any of these tax regimes and you want to still move to Italy, run a big business, big in terms of higher revenues above 100,000 euro, because below this revenue might fall into forfait regime, so make no sense to open a company, that's why. So if you run this kind of business, you have to find an alternative way to optimize your taxes. And this is what we do here in ESENtaxa, and if you're new in this channel, here in ESENtaxa, we talk how to optimize your taxes when you move in a specific country, in this case, Italy. So if you want to optimize your taxes and know your taxes in advance before relocating in this country, we can tax simulate your situation. We can take into account all your worldwide income, based on your business, based on your structure, situation, your family structures as well. We can consult you and tell you exactly which is the best strategy, which is the best move to relocate to Italy and pay less tax possible, okay? In the description below the video, I just want to remind you that we have our calendar link. You can book a consultation with us. It can be a 20-minute preliminary call, quickly if you have a few specific questions, or 1-hour call. And you can also add a tax simulation, which is extremely important, because when you know exactly how much money you're going to pay before relocating the country, you have spared a lot of money, because for one side, if Italy is not the country for you, basically you avoid an unnecessary movement there. Or you find a way to optimize your taxes and you spare a lot of taxes thanks to the tax planning, okay? Thanks to the tax strategy itself. Here I want to show you how Italians manage to run their business in Italy without paying too much taxes. Italy is known as one of the countries with a very high level of taxations. We might reach also cases where a single businessman can pay up to 60% taxes. Why? Because maybe they have found the wrong accountant and they were dressed to the wrong strategy, okay? Since Italy has different type of structures, different scenarios you can apply, that makes Italy complex, because you have a lot of way to run your business. And if your accountant doesn't know the correct way, you might waste a lot of money, okay? So I'm going to explain you now how to, one of the possibilities through an Italian liability company to pay taxes as much as the forfait regime, okay? For example, if you open a business in Italy and you run as solopreneur, so you are one individual and your income is lower than 85,000 euro and you move to Italy for the first time, you can just run the business like this, below this threshold, and you might pay between 12% up to 25% in the worst case through the forfait regime, okay? So this is the tax benefit. These percentages is not just taxes, it's taxes and social contribution combined. 12% with social contribution combined. It's very important that you remember this element, it's extremely important. We take into account everything. 12% up to 25%. Why we have these differences? Why is not one single percentage? It's not because this is a progressive taxation, no. It's because the forfait regime works with the deductibility coefficient, means that based on the type of activity, the Italian state give you a forfeit deduction. So regardless of your real expenses, you are entitled to receive a specific amount of deduction, okay? So based on the deduction, you pay less or more taxes, based on the type of work that you're performing. So when you pass this threshold, what do? You have to move to the ordinary regime, which is the classical cases where you pay taxes on your profit. And there is no any forfeit deduction that the state give you for granted, give you for free. And when you, for example, if your income is, let's say, 100,000 euro, and you are in the ordinary regime, not in the forfeit regime, so this is the forfeit regime, and this is the ordinary regime, this you pay 26% social security on this, so 26,000 euro, even more, a little bit more, but just I'm rounding the numbers just for the simplicity reasons. So 26,000 euro goes to the INPS, social security. What remains is tax into the progressive taxation that goes from 23% up to 43%, okay? So basically you have the remaining 74,000 euro, which goes to the RPF progressive taxation, and you're going to pay an average between, it's like 35% with 100,000, if I'm by heart, I remember this is the amount of money to pay. So you pay 26% on 100,000, then you remove this 26% because this is deductible against your profit, and then you pay 30% on 74,000, you see? It's a huge amount of money that you have to give to the state, and half of the money that you have earned is gone. So never move from forfait regime to ordinary regime, okay? So this is the tax hell situation, okay? Another thing, you might say, okay, let's open a company. We open a company, but you have to be very careful, because an Italian liability company, limited liability company, is an SRL, known in Italian, has also huge rates if you combine the corporate tax, dividend tax, and taxes as administrator, okay? If you don't optimize, if you don't do what we are going to explain you now in this video and in the future videos, you're going to pay as well 60% or even 70% taxes. Why? Because the SRL is meant to be composed by multiple persons. It's not meant to be for a solopreneur. So that's the problem of an Italian company. So you have to avoid to pay this corporate tax as 24%, which is the IRES. You have to avoid to pay this IRAP at 3.9% at the top of it, which is called IRAP. So we also learn about the acronyms of the taxes. You pay 20%, 26% on dividends if you withdraw money as a dividend, and you pay taxes if you withdraw taxes through the payroll as administrator without any optimization. I'm just saying the case where you choose the wrong accountant with no optimizations. So administrator, payroll, in which you pay based on what you withdraw. Let's imagine I withdraw 50,000 euro, which is quite high salary for an Italian standard. You pay 35% social security plus insurance plus unemployment security insurance and these kind of things, and what remains will be taxed at RPF taxation. So here is 35 plus a rate that goes between 23 to 43. Still, it's around 30%. So if you withdraw money in this way, you pay 60% or 50 something if you combine the two calculation. Instead, if you keep money in your company, you pay 24% plus 3.9, so you're around 27. And then what remains in this company, it's subject to another social security contribution, this is only a peculiarity of Italy. No one in other country, I think, it happens to have these kind of things. It's another social contribution. You pay social contribution here as well. And here, this social contribution is 24% on your profit of your company, regardless if you're withdrawing or not money. So you pay 24% on your profit. I don't know how much would be this profit. Of course, there is a maximum cap of 86,000 euro, but up to 86,000 euro, you pay 24%, okay, of INPS, which is the social security. As I said, regardless if you're withdrawing your dividend or not. And then if you withdraw your dividend, you pay 26% finally as a dividend. So you see, this is a real tax hell, okay? So now we're going to explain you how to don't pay this one or reduce as much as possible, how to pay only 19% taxes on this, including social security, everything on my administrator payroll if you want to withdraw money from this, how to not pay this one, how to squeeze this one down to 1.95%. Okay? So in this video, we just focus on this. Okay, and then in the next videos, we are going to explain you the rest of the optimization strategies on the Italian SRL. When you go to an accountant in Italy, you have to ask to the accountant, the accountant will ask you for the first question, you want to be the administrator of the company, you are just an investor. and you were saying, no, I'm the only administrator, I'm the owner of the company, I own 100% of the share, okay, it's fine. So we need to optimize the taxes as much as possible in this case, because when you have multiple shareholders, it's more easy in Italy to optimize your taxation. When you are only one person, it's a little bit tricky, but still there is a way to do it. So I have my Italian company, SRL, and I tell to my accountant that I want to withdraw, I want to have something about 2,000 euro per month net in my pocket, okay? And my tax pressure should not pass 20%, including Social Security, okay? So the best things to do is the following. I'm going to pay myself a payroll as administrator of about 40,000 euro, okay, per year. So for the company, this is a cost, it's an expense, 100% deductible, is a payroll. Of this 40,000 euro, 12,000 will be forfait reimbursement for transferring. So how to obtain this 12,000 euro forfeit reimbursement, which is completely tax-free, and is 100% deductible for the Italian company. So the forfeit reimbursement for transferring is when the administrator of the company, of an Italian company, is moving to another communal residence, another commune, different from the commune of where your company runs your activity, or where you as administrator on daily basis declare to run your activities. This is the trick. You move to another commune to go to the bank, to sign some papers, to run all the administrative steps or executions to run your company, because the administrators has the principal work to run the administrative part, the bureaucracy part, to run your SRL, to run the SRL. So if you have a way to have all your suppliers, such as the notary, such as the accountant, such as the banks, outside the commune of where you're running your business, you are entitled to receive basically a forfeit deduction, a forfeit reimbursement of 45 euro maximum per day for all the working day, actually not the working day, you can also use the weekends, because the administrator can work whenever he wants. And then a reasonable amount of money, which doesn't go above the radar of the Italian tax agency, is 12,000 euro, okay? So if you multiply this number for all around 22 working days, we get this number, and this number is completely tax-free, okay? Moreover, you can also increase this number, but this will be a little bit more complicated if you have this reimbursement if you move abroad. So if you can also reach like 20,000 euros reimbursement, because you are entitled to receive 75 euro per day forfait. Forfait means regardless your real expenses. I mean, you can also go by foot, you can also walk. You are entitled to receive this one. Okay, so that's the good part of the forfait. It's a sort of payroll forfait regime, okay, that you can exploit to receive this amount of money. But here is when your company, for example, is in Italy, and you have to run some administrative steps outside Italy, such as in Switzerland, France, San Marino, or whatever other country, not necessarily close to the border. This work, it's more difficult than an administrator can benefit from this, because it's more difficult to prove it. While if you're an ordinary payroll, which could be an ordinary employee of this company, you might send this employee abroad for running the real business, and then it's more easy to use this one in the other type of payroll, which is going to be a subject of another video. But for the administrator, running the business most likely in Italy, because the bank is in Italy, the notary is in Italy, other suppliers or clients are in Italy, makes more sense to deduct a reasonable amount of money, which is 12,000 more or less. Can be a little bit more, a little bit less, okay? So here I'm throwing numbers which are the most reasonable. Then what remains, which is basically 28,000 euro, we can remove other 1,000 euro. This is a trick called TFM. So what is this? The TFM is a sort of liquidation that an administrator has the right to receive after the work of administrator, after a lot of years being an administrator of this company. So when you set up a company and you decide who is the administrator in the Notary Act, you also can decide the length of your activity as administrator, or you can also say is unlimited time. But this TFM is given back to the administrator once his job is done under this company. And this is just an amount of money that I'm putting aside And I don't have to really give to the administrator right now. It's an amount of money that will be accumulating year by year, 1,000 euro per year, and then I'll give it back to the administrator in the next 10 years. This is an amount of money which is fully deductible from the SRL, even though I'm not giving this money anywhere, so the money remains in the SRL, but from the balance accounting system, this is 1,000 euro to deduct from the company, which reduces the corporate tax. So this is it's an anticipation of the way of reducing the corporate tax. And this will be taxed separately, so regardless which is your real tax rate, it's a 20% flat tax, and then as a pre-advanced, but this will be paid after 10 years. If 10 years, from 10 years, the taxes will be pushed down, then you'll pay less. This is just a way to reduce your corporate tax system, your corporate tax imposable income. So you have 27,000 euro as real money threshold from which you calculate your social security, which is 35%. It's still 35%, we cannot do anything. It's 33% plus some amount of money that you have to give to the institution for social security to help you in case of unemployment situations, the company bankrupt, and you still need to have some unemployment monthly wages for a couple of years. So this is a sort of insurance that you have to pay. So actually the taxable 35% of which, this is important, let's say 20, if I'm not wrong, is 23% a charge of the company, and 11% and something, it's 6% inside your payroll at your charge as administrator. So it's about 23,000 euro 600 the taxable income, and a part of it, like 2,000 euro and 500, now don't remember precisely the numbers because I did it by mind, the calculation, goes to the IMPS in your payroll, and the rest is paid by the company. The other 5,000 here, 4,000, yes, 4,000 euro more or less. So this is 23,000. So part of it is paid by your company, and a part of it is paid by you. So what remains here to be taxable in terms of pure taxes, it's 20,000 euro 100 something, and this goes to the RPF taxation. Now 20,000 euro, it's most likely a taxation of only 12%. If you run this taxable income in some tax simulations online, or if you want to ask us a tax simulation, it's about 12% tax to pay here. But the overall of this package, because here you pay the RPF taxation, which is from 23% to 43%, only on 20,000, okay, because you have to deduct your initial amount of gross income because of the IMPS, because of the social security here and here, okay? So what remains here, it's 18,000 euro more or less, that flows in your pocket, okay? 18,000 euro plus 12,000, which is tax-free, it's 30,000 euro. And here the tax pressure, it's around 90%. Okay, so what you put in your pocket is 30,000 euro over 4,000. You see? Thanks to this forfait system and a TFM solution that allows you to, from one side, squeeze the corporate tax on 1,000 euro on a yearly basis, and then you pay taxes only of 20,000 euro. It's true that the big chunk of Social Security needs to be paid, but with this system, your real taxation is 90%. Now, I know it's a little bit complicated to understand numbers in this way. I just try to give you a glimpse of how this payroll system works and which is the best way to optimize it. This is only one of the ways to optimize your payroll through the forfait expenses. There is also the chance of using the mixture expenses, which is a mixture of analytics expenses plus the forfait one, in which you really state the real expenses one by one. But the forfait expenses system, it allows you to give you this amount of money regardless if you have made these expenses or not, which is extremely more easy in terms of accountability. The rest of the system actually flow the ordinary payroll, but it goes only on 27,000 and not on 40,000, which is the big difference. The overall is 19%, So basically means that only 19% of what you have, 19% of your salary is gone between taxes and social contribution, and the rest remains in your pocket. And you have withdraw out of your company 40,000 euro, okay? Now, you can also increase this number to 50,000, to 60,000, okay? So you can also withdraw more than 40,000, but we have found that 40,000 is a good compromise. If you move above 40,000, you start to withdraw out of your company 50K or 60K, this is gonna increase by 22%, or it's gonna be 25%, etc., etc. So it's going to increase a little bit more because of the RPF taxation system. Okay, this thing's a little bit more technical. So when it comes to open a company in Italy and you want to optimize your taxes using this instrument, it's extremely important to have a real tax simulation. Here, just to give you an idea, rough idea, an idea of percentages that we are talking about. 90% is very good to be in Europe. So if you want to know more, in the description below, you have our services calendar link to book our tax simulation, and we can exactly tell you which is the best strategy to run your business in Italy, utilizing an Italian limited liability company, and start to optimize your taxes without being the situation that I've explained in the beginning of the video, in the tax hell situation, but in a tax heaven situation, okay? Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next episode of the SRL. If you like this kind of content, if you want to know more about these tax strategies, more in details, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, and like button to be always updated whenever we release this kind of videos. Thank you, see you to the next time.